Hi guys, I'm Arith. I'm an educational speaker and a blogger. You can visit to my blog ambitionwitharith.blogspot.com. In my last video, I have discussed about central nervous system, and my today's topic is peripheral nervous system. So today we discuss about peripheral nervous system and the divisions of peripheral nervous system. You can find my all organ system related videos in I button. So before start the video, I'm requesting those who are new to my channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and share this video. So let's start the video.
Every single day I'm gonna make something great.
So peripheral nervous system. What is peripheral nervous system? Peripheral nervous system is a part of nervous system which refers to the outside of the brain and the spinal cord. It includes cranial nerves, spinal nerves and their roots and branches, peripheral nerves and the neuromuscular junction. In the peripheral nervous system, the branches of nerve fibers or actions, they conduct the information to and from the central nervous system. So now we're coming into the divisions of peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system divided into two parts is craniospinal nerves and the autonomic nervous system. In craniospinal nerves there are two types. It consists of 12 pair of cranial nerves and 31 pair of spinal nerves, whereas the autonomic nervous system divides into sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Now we're coming into cranial nerves. The cranial nerves are directly emerged from the brain, and there are 12 pair of cranial nerves which relay the information from the brain to the different parts of the body, especially the head and neck region, and they relay the spatial senses like hearing, touch, vision and senses. The cranial nerve emerges from the central nervous system above the first vertebrae of the vertebral column. Cranial nerves are in paired and present on both sides, and it's described as the Roman numerals from 1 to 12. The functions of the cranial nerve are three types: sensory, motor and mixed. Sensory nerve or afferent nerves, they relay the information towards the brain. Motor nerve, it sends the motor signals from the central nervous system to the muscles of the body. And then mixed nerve composed of both sensory and motor nerve, and it conducts the messages in both directions at once and together form to make up the peripheral nervous system. Now we discuss about the 12 pair of cranial nerves. So now we discuss about 12 pair of cranial nerves. First is olfactory nerve. It is the first of 12 pair of cranial nerves. It's a sensory nerve in charge of transmitting olfactory stimuli from the nose to the brain. Its actual origin is given by the cells of the olfactory bulb. It is the shortest cranial pair of all. Now we're coming into optic nerve. Optic nerve, this is the cranial pair, is the second of the 12 pair of cranial nerves, and it is responsible for conducting visual stimuli from the eye to the brain. It is made up of actions from the ganglion cells of the retina that take the information of the photoreceptors to the brain, where later it will be the integrated and interpreted. It emerges in the diencephalon. Now coming into oculomotor. This cranial nerve is also known as the common ocular motor nerve. It is the third of the 12 pair of cranial nerves. It controls the eye movement and is also responsible for the pupil size. It originates in the midbrain. Now we're coming into trochlea. This nerve has a motor and somatic functions that are connected to the superior oblique of muscle of the eye, being able to make the eyeballs move and rotate. Its nucleus also originates in the mesencephalon as well as oculomotor nerve. It is the fourth of the 12 pair of cranial nerves. Now we coming into trigeminal. It is the mixed cranial nerve. Being the largest of all cranial nerves, it is the fifth of 12 pair of cranial nerves. Its function is to carry sensitive information to the face, to convey information for the chewing process, and the sensory nerve fibers convey sensation of touch, pain, and temperature from the front of the head, including the mouth and also from the meninges. Now, the sixth cranial nerve is abducent. It is also known as the external ocular motor cranial nerve, and it is the sixth of the 12 pair of cranial nerves. It is a cranial motor pair responsible for transmitting the motor stimuli to the external rectus muscle of the eye and therefore allowing the eye to move to the opposite side from where we have the nose. Next is facial or intermediate. This is another mixed cranial pair since it consists of several nerve fibers that perform different functions like ordering the muscles of the face to create facial expression and also send signals to the salivary and lacrimal glands. On the other hand, it collects taste information through the tongue. It is the seventh of the 12 pair of cranial nerves. And the next is vestibulocochlear. It is the sensory cranial nerve. It also known as the auditory and vestibular nerve, thus forming the vestibulocochlear. He is responsible for balance and orientation in space and auditory function. It is the eighth of the 12 pair of cranial nerves. Now coming into the ninth, it's the glossopharyngeal. It is a nerve whose influence lies in the tongue and pharynx. It collects information from the taste bud and sensory information from the pharynx. It leads order to the salivary gland and various neck muscles that help with swallowing. It also monitors blood pressure, and it is the ninth of the 12 pair of cranial nerves. Now coming into the very important nerve, that is vagus. This nerve is also known as the pneumogastric. It emerges from the medulla oblongata and supplies nerves to the pharynx, esophagus, larynx, trachea, bronchi, heart, stomach, and liver. Like the previous nerves, it influences the action of swallowing but also in sending the and transmitting signals to our autonomous system to help the regulate activation and control stress level or send signals directly to our sympathetic system. It is the 10th of 12 pair of cranial nerves. Next is accessory. This cranial pair is named the spinal nerve. It is the motor nerve and could be understood as one of the most pure. It governs the movement of the head and the shoulders by supplying the sternocleidomastoid and trapezius muscles in the region of the neck. The spinal nerve also allows us to throw our heads back. Thus, we would say that it intervenes in the movement of the head and the shoulder. It is the 11th of the 12 pair of cranial nerves. And next is hypoglossal. It is the motor nerve which, like the vagus and glossopharyngeal, is involved in the tongue muscle, swallowing, and speech. It is the 12th of the 12 pair of cranial nerves. Now we're coming into spinal nerve. The spinal nerve are mainly mixed nerve, and they carry the sensory, motor, and autonomic signals from the spinal cord to the body. And there are 31 pair of spinal nerves present on each side of the vertebral column. So the 31 pair of spinal nerves are 8 pair of cervical nerve, 12 pair of thoracic nerve, 5 pair of lumbar nerve, 5 pair of sacral nerve and 1 pair of coccygeal nerve. Now we coming into autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system is a part of the peripheral nervous system that is responsible for regulating the involuntary body functions such as blood flow, heartbeat, breathing and digestion. In other words, it is the autonomic system that controls the aspect of the body that are not under control of voluntary control. Now we're coming into divisions of autonomic nervous system. One is sympathetic nervous system and another is parasympathetic nervous system. So what is the sympathetic nervous system? Sympathetic nervous system are the divisions of autonomic nervous system that is primarily responsible or stimulates the body fight to fight or freeze response. It is, however, constantly active as a basic level to maintain the homeostasis or homeodynamics. Now coming into the structure of sympathetic nervous system. So there are two nerves which are responsible for transmitting the signals through the sympathetic nervous system. One is preganglionic nerve and another is postganglionic nerve. At the synapse within the ganglia, preganglionic neurons release acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that activates nicotinic acetylcholine receptors on the postganglionic neurons. In response to the stimulus, the postganglionic neurons release norepinephrine, which activates adrenergic receptors that are present on the peripheral target tissue. The activation of target tissue receptors causes the effects associated with the sympathetic system. However, there are three important exceptions. Postganglionic neurons of sweat glands release acetylcholine for the activation of muscarinic receptors, except for area of thick skin, the palms and the plantar surface of the feet, where norepinephrine is released and acts as an adrenergic receptor. Chromaffin cells of the adrenal medulla are analogous to postganglionic neurons. The adrenal medulla develops in tandem with the sympathetic nervous system and acts as a modified sympathetic ganglion. Within this endocrine gland, preganglionic neurons synapse with chromaffin cells, triggering the release of two transmitters, a small proportion of the norepinephrine and more substantially epinephrine. The synthesis and release of epinephrine as opposed to norepinephrine is another distinguishing feature of chromaffin cells compared to postganglionic sympathetic neurons. Postganglionic sympathetic nerves terminating in the kidney release dopamine, which acts on dopamine D1 receptors of the blood vessels to control how much blood the kidney filters. Dopamine is the immediate metabolic precursor to norepinephrine but is non-ethylase, a distinct signaling molecule. Now we're coming into parasympathetic nervous system. So parasympathetic nervous system is organized in a manner similar to the sympathetic nervous system. It is the motor component consists of preganglionic and postganglionic neurons. The preganglionic neurons are located in specific cell groups in the brainstem or in lateral horns of the spinal cord at sacral levels. And preganglionic actions emerging from the brainstem project to parasympathetic ganglia that are located in the head or near the heart, are embedded in the end organ itself. Example, the trachea, bronchi and gastrointestinal tract, or are situated in the short distance from the urinary bladder. Both pre and postganglionic neurons secrete acetylcholine as a neurotransmitter, but like sympathetic ganglion cells, they also contain other neuroactive chemical agents that functions as co-transmitters. So this is the peripheral nervous system. So in my last two videos, I have discussed about central nervous system and today peripheral nervous system. I hope you get a full clarification full clarity about the nervous system. If you have any query, please make your comment below. I hope this video helps to your brothers, your sisters, and the students. So if you like the video, please subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon, and share this video. Thank you.